Hey everyone, this is Mason with HerbRally, and after 6 years of working on this project, I felt it's probably time for me to finally kind of more introduce myself as opposed to just doing, podcast intros and stuff like that. But I just want to tell you about HerbRally, where it's come from, and where we're moving forward in the future. So I was Mountain Rose Herbs events coordinator for several years, and so I'd travel around the country going to different herbalism events, and my own passion for herbalism kept evolving and increasing, and I was searching for an herbalism events website, and I didn't really find any. I found some here and there that would do some updates, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to create one. So I had the idea, and originally I was going to call it herbalismevents.com, which is super boring. And then finally I was like, HerbRally, that's got a nice ring to it. So the idea lived in my head, and then for about a year I did literally nothing with it. And then I finally bought the domain name. And then, as with these projects that live in your head, you just start feeling like antsy, like, oh, I gotta do this. So finally I learned about Squarespace. I bought a Squarespace website, and then I just started listing events. I listed them chronologically, and I started organizing them by state. Lo and behold, next thing you know, there's hundreds of herbalism events happening around the country. That's herb walks, herbal conferences, you name it. Just little talks, neighborhood talks. I wanted to list everything, so if you live in some particular state, you could find the herbalism, what we say is herbalism in your neck of the woods. So yeah, I listed events for a couple years, and I was like, oh wow, I'm creating this website that I want to see exist in the world. And that's kind of how everything else with HerbRally evolved. So in addition to listing events, I also wanted to list herbalism schools, because what I found through working at Mountain Rose Herbs is there's just tons of schools all over the nation and the world. So I started listing those as well. You could see those at herbrally.com/schools or herbrally.com/distance, and you'll see distance learning schools as well. But yeah, there's easily over 100 schools on that list. So you're sure enough to find a school in your area, or if you're planning on moving to another state, you could probably find one where you're moving to. Then I learned of what's called an herbal monograph or a plant monograph. When you read about plants, a lot of times what you do is you get these little nuggets of info about them, and they're usually kind of generic, and they're usually kind of the same. So what I wanted to do with HerbRally was, in addition to herbalism events, I wanted to start listing herbal monographs. But my take on it was having as many voices from as many traditions and perspectives and storytelling as possible. So what I did was I started getting my friends, my herbalist friends, to write monographs and include, the ecology, the botany, the medicinal uses, but then I'd ask them to include their own personal stories in there as well. So I wanted a diverse range from as many people, as many plants as possible. I'll even get questions like, hey Mason, if you already have, say, a calendula monograph, I want to write a calendula monograph too. I think it's great, because then you have two different perspectives on the same plant. So now we're up to, after 6 years of doing this, we're up to over 70 monographs, and the list keeps growing. After the monographs, I really wanted to create a podcast. I myself listen to podcasts all day. I love them. I love audiobooks. I love consuming content in that kind of way. So I was like, oh, I want to create this podcast much in the same way as the monographs, which was, again, many traditions, many voices, many backgrounds, so on. The other thing is I didn't want it to be just your traditional interview show. I wanted it to be essentially lessons from conferences, or people could just submit their lessons to the show, and then I would upload that audio as the podcast. Basically, I didn't want the podcast to be the Mason show. I wanted to more highlight the community, because again, I was for years going out to these different herbalism events and meeting tons of you all out there, and I was like, oh, these people have amazing stories to tell. They're the pros. I really want to highlight them and their voices. So over the years, I think we're up to over 280-ish podcast episodes now, and that continues to grow. So HerbRally was always kind of a fun side project for me, but as the podcast grew and as the platform grew, I really wanted to focus on it more. And I loved my stint at Mountain Rose Herbs. I mean, I was there for 11 years, but I wanted to take that jump into the next challenge, and I felt like it was time for me to go with HerbRally full time. So I quit Mountain Rose Herbs. I still have a great relationship with them. I love them all. They're in my hometown. But it was time for me to focus full time on HerbRally. After 6 years, we finally started a YouTube channel. So we're creating a lot more video content, and I should get to that story. So I met my wife, Amanda, at Mountain Rose Herbs as well. And so Amanda was the photographer, and she was in creative and design for Mountain Rose Herbs for 4 years. And then she also left Mountain Rose Herbs to work full-time on HerbRally. So the HerbRally team essentially right now is me and Amanda, me and my wife. So yeah, all the video production, all the design, everything you see, that's Amanda. So we're really excited for the evolution of HerbRally because the opportunities are wide open. There's been other ideas that lived in my head for years, and we're finally able to execute on them. I have this concept called frugal nutrition, and basically what that is the idea that nutritious eating does not have to be expensive. So we're actually in the process this weekend of starting that course. It's going to be a sliding scale course starting at free because we want to be able to provide that information to the people that need it the most. But basically it's going to teach you all about how to eat nutritiously on a budget. And that's a major passion of mine. So we're going to be creating courses in the future. I have an extensive herbalism background as well. I've taken a couple apprenticeships, including the Columbine School of Botanical Studies here in Eugene, as well as the Arctos School. So I want to start teaching more, presenting more as well. So really what I'm getting at is we're just really excited for all the different projects that we have. Amanda has been doing some creative work for other herbal companies, including Mountain Rose Herbs, but yeah, photography, videography, logos, you name it. So if that's of interest to you, you could reach out to her at herbrally.com/services. But besides that, we're just really excited to move forward with more video production, podcast production, event listings, kind of all the same stuff we've done historically, but just more of it. I'm just really excited for the YouTube channel too. So if you're not already subscribed, please give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. Also, back in the day when I first started, I had these dandelion hoodies, and I thought it'd be fun to bring those back. So we're gonna have a merch line as well, just some hoodies, shirts, mugs, that kind of stuff. Also, Amanda will be selling some of her digital prints for people to use on their own blogs. You can find that at herbrally.com/store. Yeah, if you're new to the HerbRally community, welcome. This has been a super fun project for us. If you've been around for a long time, it's kind of nice to say hi in front of the camera. And if you ever want to reach out, you can email me at mason@herbrally.com, podcast ideas, monographs, so on. Again, that's mason@herbrally.com. And yeah, this has been a blast, so thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.